Far-left activists still raging over the abortion ruling. They're now offering cash to tipsters who share physical locations of Supreme Court justices.
And that public bounty offer comes after protesters swarmed Justice Kavanaugh while dining at Morton's D.C. Steakhouse last week. The restaurant, which defended a customer's right to eat in peace, has since been flooded with fake reservations and phone calls.
Oh, delightful. Here to react, President and co-founder of Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America, Marjorie Dannenfelser. Marjorie, thanks so much for being here. Does this type of reaction from the left surprise you at all, given how invested they've been in abortion for so long?
No. You know, there's just been a cap on this conversation that Roe v. Wade tamped down. And now we're all getting to have the conversation after being after 50 years of not being able to let our deeply held convictions be reflected in the law. But I think what we're seeing here in this story and as a pattern of abuse and violence is a direct attack on the independence of the judiciary. The assassination attempt, these intimidation attempts of every Supreme Court justice who voted to overturn Roe v. Wade. This is an attack on that independence and therefore democracy. So they're going after the institution since the institution didn't deliver what they wanted. The pro-life movement is experiencing a part of that pattern all over the country. Over 52 documented instances of abuse and harassment and violence against pro-life pregnancy centers, churches, and leaders of pro-life organizations across the country. It's incredibly unhealthy for our democracy.
Marjorie, I just had a guest on in the last segment who is a Chinese American who talked about the Cultural Revolution and the need to tear down institutions and really transform the country for that ideology to take hold. Somebody who's a proponent of that, of tearing down our institutions, who comes from a socialist mind point, is AOC. This is what she tweeted. She said, "Poor guy," talking about Justice Kavanaugh, "poor guy, he left before his souffle because he decided half the country should risk death if they have an ectopic pregnancy within the wrong state lines. It's all very unfair to him. The least they can do is let him eat cake." So many things wrong on so many levels with that tweet, beginning with the fact that it is not you can have an abortion, or it's an ectopic pregnancy is not really considered an abortion.
No, indeed.
But also, of course, what she's saying is greenlighting the abuse of Justice Kavanaugh.
And hers is the only Democratic voice that we're hearing. Where is the president? Where is the attorney general? When the independence of the judiciary is being threatened, democracy is being threatened, and they're either encouraging of that or they're silent about it. And as that violence echoes across the country towards pro-life people in pregnancy centers, and my organization has documented, it is not going away, and there needs to be real leadership. We may disagree on a lot of things, but we have to agree that the institutions of our democracy must be protected. And this administration is happy to see that undermined just because of a difference, because of a difference of opinion that we should be arguing out in every legislature in the land and in the Congress, instead of having to defend ourselves against violent attacks and harassment.
Marjorie, real quick, you know, right now today it's Supreme Court justices, but we've seen Jane's Revenge and some of the other attacks out there. You know, have there been any threats against yourself or people you work with, and do you see that coming?
Oh, every day, and among my colleagues as well, allies all over the country. And we will not be intimidated. We will not be harassed into silence. You know, I just have to say, the reason that every European country, except for 3, so 47 out of 50 European countries have a limit on abortion before 15 weeks, most of them 12, is because they see it as humane. And there was not a court that said that they couldn't express their will in the law. We're just catching up after 50 years, and it is not. It is no form of violence is okay. That we were tamped down in terms of our ability to have that discussion, and it's happening overnight. But only democratic institutions can keep the civility and keep us on track in terms of the love that is at the center of this movement and the justice and mercy that is at the heart of our founding documents. That's the way forward, and this violence has to be stopped. We need to hear from the President of the United States and his Attorney General about what they plan to do to stop the violence and harassment.
You're exactly right. They only defend the institutions when they serve their interests. Otherwise, they need to go. Marjorie, thank you so much for being here, for everything you do for the cause, and we celebrate with you the end of Roe v. Wade. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Stay safe.
Yeah, she's a human rights activist. She's been toiling in the fields for a long time.
Love it.
Good for her.